had been killed in battle. His son, Garandimont, had continued the rebellion and eventually defeated the cruel king at a field called Winterroud. He stopped by the window, brooding, rubbing strands of his growing gray beard. Did there come a time when rebellion was the only course of action left to men of honor? Colvin had felt that emotion. He had joined Garandimont's rebellion against the king after learning that Mastins were being secretly murdered throughout the realm. The king and his Hetaira wife had sought to destroy the Mastin order subtly. Even though joining the rebellion had meant risking his own life and the future of his sister, Colvin had not hesitated. Had such a time come to Comoros? An evil king could cause much suffering. If Sanford managed to escape Pent Tower, or if the medium willed it, he was set free. Was this the moment to start a civil war? War always brought death, disease, and suffering for the people. Though the loss of his rank, wealth, and position was felt grievously, this was not about regaining what he had personally lost. It was about justice. It was about fairness. It was about the rule of law. The rage smoldered inside of him. 4 of his sons were trapped in the tower with him. 2 of them, Tobias and Menyon, had been forced to part with their wives. Tobias had a baby who did not know his father's face. He had heard they were all living in a cottage deep in Forshee, where they endured the persecution of the new earl. A sympathetic guard brought occasional reports, so at least they knew their family was not going hungry. Many of the villagers throughout the 100 regularly brought them cheese, sheep, and cows. Sanford himself had been known as a stern but compassionate earl. He had always erred on the side of giving too much instead of too little. "You look angry, father," said his firstborn, Tobias. He joined him at the window and put a hand on his shoulder. "I was thinking about our womenfolk," he replied. "It is unjust that they suffer for my words. When I think on how the king treats his own daughter," Tobias said, "I can hardly be surprised that he treats us so ill." "Yes, he treats his daughter shamefully, but this is not how you reward loyal service. His actions encourage sycophants," said Menyon from the trestle table where he was scooping up the remains of their breakfast. He was always hungry. "Anyone who served him honestly was put to shame," Tobias said. "Look no further than the Privy Council. None of the older advisors are left." "Like Morton," said Sanford. "He is here in Pent Tower with us." "I wonder what Dot is doing," said Elder, who was sitting at the table too, leafing through a book with obvious boredom. Sanford felt a stab of pain and pride at the thought of his youngest boy, Dodd. He shook his head and sighed gruffly. "He is every bit a prisoner as we are." "I would gladly exchange cells with the lad," Menyon said, tapping his spoon on the table. "The best pastries in the world are at Muirwood Abbey." "Only on Whitsunday," Elder said, grabbing his brother by the neck and throttling him gently. "Whitsunday," he sighed after the mock abuse. "Do you think we will be out of here by then? Missing it last year made me dreadfully melancholy." "You truly miss the maypole dance?" said Gates, Sanford's 4th son. He had been quiet up to that point, leaning against the wall and watching them, but he could not pass up the opportunity to tease. "And you do not, Gates?" said Elder. "No, I hate dancing." "Then how will you pick a wife?" put in Menyon, grinning. "You are all fools," Gates said. "I want to fight in at least 2 wars before I even think about choosing a wife. I swear, I hope Dahomey invades and we are released to draw arms. When it is time for a wife, I will let father and mother choose for me. Any girl will do, even a wretched lass. If she cooks anything like our ancestor Leah, I could not be happier. Now save some of that pie for later, Menyon. You will eat yourself sick." That earned a chorus of laughter from the brothers. It was a good sound to hear, and it soothed the worst of Sanford's blistering anger. There were moments when the ribbing was not so good-natured. 5 men cramped together in a single cell was enough to drive any one of them mad. Sanford had always detested cramped spaces. "Do you think Dodd is well?" Tobias asked at his shoulder, pitching his voice lower. "I worry we have heard nothing from him of late."